Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes.
Welcome back to the Talos of Space podcast. I'm your co-host, Nick. I'm not your co-host. We've talked about this. I'm just the guy who says things. DJ's the co-host. Hi, how are you?
Hi,
DJ.
how you doing? I'm good.
Long time no see. / saw you last week. How's life?
Life's going.
Well, that's good. Hopefully not going as fast as SpaceX goes, but, you know, maybe around there.
Hey, it's faster than Elon time, though, so.
Oh, okay, wow, and you're moving at some fraction of the speed of Plaid, because I'm pretty sure that's a definable speed in the universe. Oh my goodness.
Man.
Did you hear how fast SN16 may or may not be moving fairly soon?
You know, I heard something between the lines of sitting on a display stand and hypersonic.
So, basically, if the wind blows it over, it will fit in that regime of speed flight. So SN16, which for those of you who don't remember, because I understand it's tons to keep track of down in Starbase, SN16 was sitting inside of High Bay, right next to the BN2/Booster 2/Booster 3, because nobody can just pick a dang name. Please, people, just pick a name, the booster that they're working on. It was just sitting next to there for a long time. Nobody knew what was going on. Basically was pretty much done around SN15's flight, maybe a week or so after, and just kind of sat there for a little bit over a month, and everyone was kind of like, well, what are they going to do? I don't know. Today, I guess not today. Was that Wednesday? Thursday of last week?
Something like that.
Last week, they officially moved SN16 out of the high bay and down to the display stand, rocket garden, whatever they're doing over there. I'm hoping it'll turn into a rocket garden because it's right across the street from the whatever test one, whatever, not the, before they did the SNs, the flaps from the original mock-up.
Yes.
It's a tiki bar now. But anyway, they're planting a rocket garden over there, so it's exciting to see more than one rocket over there. However, Elon took to Twitter later and said, oh, well, it might be in a rocket garden right now, but we're also thinking about using it for a hypersonic test flight. Maybe. And so anytime Elon says something's for sure going to happen in 2 weeks, you can be guaranteed to know that it's going to take about a year and a half for that to happen.
Yeah.
Anytime he says probably, that could be a decade. But when he says maybe, chances are thin on whether or not it'll actually ever happen. But at least it's being thought about. So poor SN16.
It's kind of like this. Whatever thought he has, it might be said to somebody on the offhand, and then it might not actually ever happen.
Yep.
So
probably never going to happen.
Yeah.
But it would be kind of fun to see. For those of you who don't know, the difference between supersonic and hypersonic flight is fairly substantial. They've been doing supersonic flight tests with all of the SN since SN8, going just over Mach 1 or so on their descent down, or I guess they would flatline. At some point, they go past Mach 1 because they're
Really?
supersonic test flights. Yes.
I thought they were subsonic because like as soon as they get up there, they just like let it belly flop, and then the actual resistance that it has.
Fairly certain they do hit Mach 1.
Huh.
To test out the heat tiles and stuff.
The more you know.
I guess I could be wrong. I don't know. This is the guy who doesn't know anything. Everything I've ever said is a joke. See, I love that loophole. But anyway, so SpaceX has had a little bit of supersonic testing, possibly. Now it's debated. And the hypersonic testing, though, would be in the realm of 5 to 10 Mach 5 to 10.
Yeah.
Which is an exponential increase over just Mach 1 point something.
That's basically close to re-entry speeds at that point.
Yeah, you're getting real close to re-entry speeds at that point. Obviously, they would not be going orbital with this because they don't have a booster to stick it on. But my imagination would be because all of the other tests that they've done, they've kind of kept the Raptors real tame. They haven't filled up the tanks all the way. They haven't kept the Raptors at full thrust, and they've even shut down Raptors halfway through on every single one of these test flights. They've shut down one Raptor after about 40 seconds, and then another one after about a minute and a half. And then after that, just hovering on one basically for a while. So I would imagine if they were to fly SN16 for a hypersonic test flight, hypothetically, it would definitely be fully tanked up, fully used Raptors where they're going at 100% thrust for 100% of the time, just to get that altitude, and then to be able to do that hypersonic kind of almost. It's a ballistic trajectory, of course, because they're not going orbital, but it's just kind of a up and down test.
You know what they're doing? They're pulling a
What?
they're pulling a Blue Origin.
Oh, is Elon gonna ride in it? Maybe. Ooh, he'll beat Jeff to their own game.
You know what it's gonna. You know what's gonna happen. I need to make sure I don't go out of frame. They're gonna weld a chair to the outside.
Just a lawn chair, a little green plastic lawn chair.
They're going to put him in a pressurized flight suit.
Okay.
Tim might let him borrow his Russian flight suit.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm sure that's totally flight worthy.
Exactly. Yes. And he's gonna kind of pull one of those the dude that rode up in the balloon type thing. He's just gonna ride out in the exposed space, and it's gonna look like a Wile E. Coyote situation.
I think that would be kind of funny, honestly. And if he could, instead of wearing a normal spacesuit and instead of wearing a Wario costume, if you could do the Wile E. Coyote costume spacesuit combo, that would be even better.
Dude.
Just seeing Elon on a lawn chair duct taped to the side of this SN16 rocket.
Oh my god.
Going to hypersonic speeds.
With a full on like red paint job with TNT written on the side.
Oh, we have descended into the multiverse of madness here. Look out. Oh my goodness.
Hey, another Loki episode doesn't come out till Wednesday, Nick. Don't get excited.
I know. Can you tell I can't wait? This Loki stuff is pretty fun. Yeah, so we got SN16. A lot of speculation around that. Personally, if you ask me what my personal opinion is, I'd say there's probably a 90 to 95% chance that SN16 lives next to SN15 until it rusts away, or until another SN misses its target and blows up the whole facility.
No.
That's my guess.
Oh no!
I really hope now that I said that, I'm like, ooh, can I undo
that's a
that? I
scary
don't
thought.
want to jinx anything.
That's a scary thought right there.
Very.
Oh
So,
man.
yeah, what do you think the chances are there, DJ, of it actually doing what he
95
said?
plus. Oh, air conditioning's
95
running.
plus.
Yes, 95 plus.
Oh.
That is not going to do it.
Okay. All right. Well, 95 plus. I'm between 90 and 95 plus. That is not happening.
Yeah.
I think that it's just going to sit there for the rest of its life and be honestly really important law and armament, because SN15 was obviously the first of these new generations of Starship, and they weren't really sure if it was going to work because SN8 didn't work, SN9 didn't work, SN10 didn't work, SN11 didn't work, and so they wanted to have backups, you know, kind of ready to go, keep the pace up. So they built SN15, and while they're building SN15, they started on SN16. As they were finishing and testing SN15, they were finishing up SN16. They were also starting on SN17, which totally got scrapped and is now in the junkyard, Starship Boneyard.
Yep.
But I'm glad that they preserved this SN16 test prototype. You know, if anything, just for posterity. You know, maybe one of these will end up at the National Air and Space Museum at one point or something.
Yeah.
So it's good that they're keeping these prototypes around. I think.
Yep.
I think they'll earn their place in history. Did you know that it's kind of hot down in Boca Chica?
How hot?
Well, between polar ice cap and the surface of the sun, it's definitely closer to the polar ice cap, but it's not cool, that's for sure. What does happen down in Boca, though, is plenty of solar. They have plenty of solar panels and installations. We've seen RGV post lots of pictures of their solar installations. That's not the news item. This is just a nice transition that is not going as well as I was thinking. But up on the ISS, they unrolled some new solar panels. Did you see that, DJ?
Oh yes. After about 5 minutes of scrubbing through trying to find it. Yes.
Only an 8-hour NASA live stream. What do you mean?
Here, you go on that. I'm gonna go turn my air conditioner off real quick.
Okay, so I will monologue on this. Poor DJ was sweating to death in the summer heat, and he decided he wanted the air conditioner on, which I totally understand. Basically, NASA had sent up some new rollable solar panels up to the International Space Station with the CRS-22 mission just a couple of weeks ago, and that was stored in the unpressurized trunk. During the first separation event, we got to see a great view of the solar panels all tucked away like two little sleeping bags in the trunk. of the Dragon. We had 2 astronauts, I'm blanking on their name. It was one of the American astronauts and the other ESA astronaut who was on station. They did a spacewalk to unfurl these on Wednesday of last week, and they were unsuccessful in completing that on Wednesday. They had an issue with one of the spacesuits, so they cut that spacewalk short, and they went back inside, and evidently everything checked out just fine.
Yep.
But they, obviously, an overabundance of caution. But then on Sunday, which was yesterday as the time we're recording this, they did another 8+ hour spacewalk, which, for those of you who don't know, that's a long work day for an astronaut. 8+ hours in actual spacewalking is a significant amount of time. And these astronauts were able to unfurl the whole solar panel array. And as of right now, DJ and I are not positive if it's actually working or not. I'd imagine that since they're solar cells, they probably started generating power pretty much instantly as soon as they were unrolled. But whether or not that's all configured and connected and tested, we don't know. But we got to see the beautiful NASA footage in lovely 480p of it being unrolled. Because NASA still hasn't upgraded all of their cameras. Please get up on that, please.
480p, you run through a 720p YouTube stream on top of that. So realistically, you're down to about 320.
Terrible. Get out your cathode ray tube TVs and watch that.
This is interesting. I haven't seen this before. There's a clip feature on NASA's live stream replay on YouTube.
You mean a clip feature?
Like Twitch clips.
Oh, I see that. What?
Yeah. Interesting.
Oh, that's cool. Huh.
That's new.
I've never seen that.
Squirrel.
That is cool. Very much squirrel. I might need to clip this little segment that we spent all day looking for. And DJ almost was telling me it doesn't exist. And I was like, am I living a Mandela effect?
It's like maybe 5 or 10 minutes in this video where it's actually rolling out. And I'm scrubbing through 8 hours and 11 minutes. And I'm like, I don't see it, Nick. What are you talking about? Nick thinking he's going crazy seeing stuff. Oh, man. So yeah,
I'm trying out this clip feature here. So sorry.
All right. So like we said before, these solar panels just literally roll out. So I don't know the mechanism that they have that actually does the extension for it, but it just looks like it was a extremely slow rolling out of some tinfoil almost. Just like grab a piece of tinfoil and put it in extremely slow motion as it falls and rolls, and that's kind of what it looked like. So, but Nick kind of thought it was gum at first on the sides.
Honestly, yeah. So the sides of this rolling panel, and we'll see if post-production Nick remembers to stick in some footage. If not, feel free to take a look on NASA's extremely long 8+ hour live stream. It's around the 5-hour mark, 5:56 minutes.
4:56.
Yeah. But basically, as the what looks like gum is being unrolled, there's these 2 white strips on the side that kind of just look like, when you like take gum that's already been chewed and you like pull it apart, it kind of like gets like thin and stretchy. It kind of looks like that was what was happening there. Unfortunately, for all those gum aficionados out there, this is not bubble gum that NASA is sending up to the space station. It is the world's worst camera quality because there's another shot close up where you can clearly see it's just a pole and then another pole. But because of the brightness of the sunlight and the poor quality of the camera, it looks like some weird gum is being stretched out. I was quite confused with that. But anyway, thankfully they fixed that.
So,
yeah. Anyway, so congratulations to NASA, Crew Dragon, Cargo Dragon for taking it up there.
Yep.
And the astronauts for being able to unroll it safely, and hopefully everything gets connected. This solar panel should be providing power for the station throughout the remainder of its life. So this is likely one of the, they're going to have a few more of these rollable solar panels, but this is the first in a series that's likely going to be the last set of solar panels that will be, living with the station until the termination. Do you know what they're going to do with the old solar panels there, DJ?
It's just literally going to stay there. These are mainly
just going to stay there.
These are just to supplement the power that those are producing.
Wow.
Because their decay has gone down. It's decayed over the years, and then they've added more power intensive stuff as well. So they've got 3 more of these to add and roll out because there's or is it 4 sets of 2 solar panels on the station? I believe that's what it is.
Yeah, it's 4 sets of 2 currently.
Yeah. So what they're going to do is they're just rolling one of these new panels each across the top, like in between the two. So it's kind of going to overlap them a little bit. So there's going to be 3 more of those sent up and rolled out over the next year or so. Year and a half, maybe.
Hey, more spacewalks. I'm all for that.
Yep.
Get some astronauts some good spacewalking time because we've been short on that for the past few decades.
Yep. But tell you what, though.
Yeah.
One thing that we're not short on at this point is astronauts going to space.
What? Is it almost hard to keep track of how many astronauts are going to be going up to space?
Not really, but...
Okay. So we got Jeff Bezos, his brother, the anonymous millionaire, the professor, the movie star, and Gilligan, and possibly the skipper, too.
That would be a nice movie right there.
Their suborbital flight's going to be a 3-hour tour, last I checked.
3-hour
Gilligan's
tour.
Island, for all of those confused with my reference here.
So, recently, China actually, of course, in April, launched their Tianhe space station module. And
yes,
this past week, they sent up a 3-person crew to that module. So they are going to be staying there for 3 months, I believe, for this trip. And then the next trip that goes up will be a 6-month trip. But they have around 3 more segments to launch, either 2 or 3 more segments for this space station. So it'll be their first fully built out space station that they're building. And it should be built out by the end of 2022. So...
yippee skippy.
Whereas the International Space Station took like 15 years to completely build.
Oh, you got to also mention the size here. I mean,
yeah. Well, yeah, the size is just dauntingly different. Dauntingly different. But still, I mean, this is pretty fast for a first real space station for them. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's about. I believe this one's about half the size of Mir.
Yeah.
It will be completed with 3 segments. So, yeah, definitely a sizable station. And excited to see another nation be able to get space capabilities.
Yep.
Hopefully that only reduces the cost and all that fun stuff.
Yep. And
it's up there for 3 months, huh?
Yeah, they're up there. Crazy. They're up there for 3 months for the first like inhabited trip for them. So. And I believe China is opening it up to anyone that really wants to, except for the U.S.
Except for the U.S. Just like how we keep it open for everyone except for China. Because politics.
Woohoo.
Ugh. Bummer.
Yep.
You know who's not going to be on station for 3 months?
Who is that?
Starliner. They're going to get up there and they're going to be like, wait, what time is it? What time is it? Oh, no.
That's if they get up there at all at this point.
They'll make it, and they'll have a good successful test. But so we got the Atlas V had one of its pieces of flight hardware that was rolled out of the assembly building. Right?
It was rolled out of ULA's rocket ship, which is a ship that carries rockets.
Okay, thank you. Rocket ship. Very, very confusing.
Yep.
I wish Elon would name some of his ships a little bit more on the nose. Like, he named the Boring Company as a joke. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Why don't we have more funny names? Yeah, so that's exciting. Obviously, that'll be the first crewed Starliner mission. Maybe. Hopefully.
As we're still waiting on the second test flight.
Demonstrator. Yeah. After the smashing success of the last one.
Yeah. Whenever we were actually thinking they might beat SpaceX into orbit with humans.
I know. Remember that? 2019 just feels like such a long time ago.
God, wait, that was... Wow.
It was beginning of 2019.
Dude, like COVID year just like completely wiped away time. Because that was right before New Year's that they did that. And then they just like...
And then SpaceX had their RUD like that spring.
Yeah, it was like April or something like that. And it was like, wow. Yeah. 2 years have passed fast.
Totally.
Like, man. I remember
in one breath, it feels like 2019 was yesterday, and then in another breath, it's like 2019 was an eternity ago.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
it's like, it depends on what time of day you're thinking about it, because...
Yeah.
like being that I graduated in December, I'm looking back at it. I'm like, first semester freshman year wasn't that long ago. I look back, it's been like almost 6 years at this point. It's been like 5.5 years or something. Like what?
Yikes.
What?
Time is relentless.
Jeez.
So yeah, it's kind of funny how everyone was questioning whether Starliner or SpaceX would be the first to deliver, and we're over a year past the date where SpaceX won the little competition there. So crazy pace that space is in. My goodness, I almost had a seizure on that line. Crazy pace that space is having.
It's already almost July too.
I know.
My brain
Which means like we're coming up on the 1 year anniversary of Crew 2, like in November, which is like,
oh man,
kind of crazy.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that happened. We've got some Starliner action. Still no news on SLS. They maybe did something at some point last week, possibly.
Yeah, they of
were
course mated the
stuff.
two side boosters.
Which, by the way, NASA, not a great word. I mean, I get it. It's a functional piece of how the world works, but like put together, connected, attached,
assembled.
You went with mated. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right, NASA.
Yeah. I think that was one of those late night back during the early space programs. They're like chugging down a couple drinks while they're still sitting there like 1 or 2 in the morning trying to work on stuff. They're like,
well, they just didn't know what memes were. They just didn't know what memes were at that point, so they didn't know that this whole thing would be taken out of context. Man. They're just Anywho, so yeah, SLS is still doing their things. Something that no one will ever accuse SpaceX of doing is going slow, though. I don't think anyone will ever accuse them of that. In fact, plenty of people are accusing them of going the opposite of too slow, which would be too fast. Did you, by chance, catch the DA letter that SpaceX got last week?
I heard about it, and then I got a little bit more information about it from you. So, yeah, it sounds like they're in a little bit of hot water right now.
I wouldn't call it boiling water, but I would call it lukewarm water. Lukewarm water, it's just not pleasant. You don't want to drink it. Like on a hot day, you don't want lukewarm water. On a cold day, you don't want lukewarm water.
Yeah.
Like either want hot or cold.
Yeah.
It was some lukewarm water that they were boiling in. Basically, for those uninitiated, Starbase is down in Texas in Brownsville in the Cameron County. Man, I'm English and good tonight. It's gonna be great.
It's like ATM machine, automated teller machine.
Or DC Comics. There's so many of those. Anyway, they're down there, and SpaceX does not control all of the roads because it is built right along Highway 4, which is a big public highway down there that plenty of locals use to get to a beach, Boca Chica Beach, and also some other stuff down at the other end. And so SpaceX kind of sits between this kind of local tourist trap. I wouldn't call it a tourist trap, maybe in the, spring break or whatever when people are traveling. But it's a beach, public beach, and the city. And in order to do basically anything outside of their production facility, SpaceX needs to have this road closed. And it's Highway 4. It's a fairly, well-traveled road by both locals and SpaceX. And that's the road that you see all of the Starship implements driving down. You see Starship SN20, the big tanks, ground support equipment, cranes. You see all of that equipment going down this road. And obviously they can't just pull out, make a left-hand turn into traffic and merge with one of these huge things. They have to shut the whole road down. Yeah. And in the past, how it has worked and how it does work currently as well, but they have to file 14 days in advance with the judge who has been authorized by the city council to make these decisions. And so they have to ask him basically, hey, can we shut the road down from this time to this time on this day? And the judge says yes or no. Evidently, he does say no on occasion, so it's not just a rubber stamp. They take into account, fishing times and all that fun stuff. So they try to. The judge tries to keep both parties happy, but SpaceX is obviously trying to do testing and move stuff around, and it's just very packed there. And so the road is this big constraint. And so because of that, because of all these road closures, a lot of locals, who might not be so excited about SpaceX moving in their backyard, feel a little bit like SpaceX is closing off the access to a beach that they might have grown up fishing at with, just very well established and have been there for a long time. And so because of that, lots of locals are kind of upset, and they have been for years, which I understand. If a rocket company started building rockets in my backyard, actually, I'd probably be okay with it. But if, say, a fishing pole company started building fishing poles in my backyard and started shutting off my access to the road, I might be a little less excited about it. So I understand where they're coming from on that front. The inconvenience is definitely there. But there are also some side roads that kind of go off of this main Highway 4, and this is really where the crux of the argument is. I gave that context with Highway 4 just to show you guys kind of that there's already this kind of beef or heated animosity between SpaceX and the local community, and not all of the local community, a fairly small subset of the local community. But there are these two roads, Joanna Road and
Redemios Road.
Redemios Road. Anyway, these two roads that are basically a branch right off of the main Highway 4, right basically between two sides of their production facility.
Yeah.
And to this day, time of making this video, they are still public roads. So these two roads, Redemios and Joanna Road, are still public roads on the county register, which means that it's a public road. Just like, I can't pitch a sign on a sidewalk and say, you can't come on this sidewalk. SpaceX can't do the same.
It's kind of interesting because I'm looking at maps right now. I'm gonna check Google Maps while I'm talking about it, but it's literally, I see Redemios Road, but where it says, like, on that bottom part, that's where it says Redemios. It's actually that vertical one in that image.
So it's both. So Redemios Road connects to Highway 4, goes down, and then turns, I guess, right if you're coming down the road to go further into SpaceX. And then Joanna Road comes off of Redemios.
But that's the one that I don't see at all is Joanna Road. Like, what's marked on here, like, if I found the right spot, that's actually Rocket Road. But then it turns into Joanna Street way farther down. But at that junction, it's not Joanna.
Well, what are you looking at? Are you looking at Google Maps or Apple Maps?
I was looking at Apple Maps at the time. That's why I was going to check Google Maps on it.
So these maps have not been updated in 2 years because typically you don't see so much innovation in one area in such a short amount of time. I did some digging on Wednesday when I was doing a lot of research for this video, and it does check out that those two were public roads. I got that from the district attorney's office. Yeah, and so it's definitely not easy to see because the whole landscape has changed, and we're basically taking RGB pictures with Porky's labeling and taking on top of that what we think Google Maps is saying, and then what we also think the district attorney is saying, and trying to composite all that together. So all that to say, though, there are two public roads that are still maintained as public roads on the county registrars. And SpaceX, this is the crux of the argument here, SpaceX has been allegedly keeping the public off of public roads with private security. I can see how this can happen very easily, but it's not acceptable, unfortunately. And so basically, on multiple occasions, private individuals, such as people, tank watching, or even locals just moseying around town, have been stopped by SpaceX private securities, the SpaceX private security team, and either detained or turned around and told that this was private property and they were not allowed to be on it. The individual instances, there are very many of them, over 5 for sure, that I've read about firsthand from the people who had that experience. But there are likely many more that didn't get a lot of publicity. And not to say that SpaceX is fear-mongering people or anything like that. They're just private security guys who got hired by SpaceX, and some plant manager at SpaceX say, hey, make sure randos don't walk down this road, because guess what? We're building rockets, and we wouldn't want Kim Jong-un's favorite spy to go walking meters away from the Raptor engine, right? Yeah. Like, national security, I see why this makes sense, but unfortunately, they're just going about it the wrong way. And instead of securing the rights to this road, or these two roads, and instead of leaving them public and but like they should have figured out some way to maintain some control over it, or ask the sheriff's department to close the road, or a judge to close the road, or even purchase the road from the county, which it sounds like SpaceX is working on now that this kind of is blown up in their face a little bit. Unfortunately, though, these instances of SpaceX private security detaining people and keeping them off public property does violate 2 Texas laws, one of which is a 3rd-degree felony, and the other of which is a, I believe, Class B misdemeanor, if my memory serves me correct, some kind of misdemeanor. And those could either be levied against the individual security guard who is doing his job, or the company SpaceX itself. And so at some point, you just got to say, SpaceX, you're a guest in these people's backyard. You might have bought it, you might have been renaming it, you might have this tremendous amount of money, but at the end of the day, there are people who live there. This is their life. And yes, you're going to disrupt it a little bit with launches. And yes, you're going to disrupt it a little bit moving tanks around. I understand that. But you also got to look at it from their perspective and say, hey, they've lived here for a long time. They might equally be excited about space, and excited about space as, Mary is and many other locals down there. But you can't just go walking over public property and kind of absorbing it in without either compensating the public or having some kind of legal process of having the public shut it down. Because at the end of the day, this is akin to me walking out on a sidewalk and putting up a private property sign and trying to keep people out with a gun. Yeah, that's kind of what this is.
I'm going to play devil's advocate one quick second on this, because I'm looking at Google Maps. Now, Google Maps has newer images than Apple Maps does. Yeah. And this is just with literally one building that has a gate around it, but in SpaceX's area, there's also another gate that how long this has been here, it's cut off Redemos Ave and Joanna Street on 2 sides and Redemos Ave on 1. Yep. So they've cut off a section for however long this image has been here, and this is before they even started building the tents that they built the first starships in. So I'm going to play it this way.
Okay.
There's nothing around this. The only thing around this, given this image, there's one building over at the junction of Redemos and Joanna Street, which, looking at the image here that you sent me, that screenshot of the video from RGV, that building is still there. So it's called the Bungalow, is what they have it labeled as.
Yep.
The other building that's there, or was there, is University of Texas Rio Grande Valley Stargate.
The
that
Stargate building. Yep.
Is definitely no longer there, because that is just a production facility at that point.
Yep.
There has been nothing else, no personal property of anybody's owned on these 2 roads since that building was bought out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, the DA, they would not really have, I'm thinking they would not have anything really to go on when it's been like this for multiple years and nothing has been brought forth. And it would just literally come down to a slap on the wrist. SpaceX, buy this if you want to do this anymore. They wouldn't have any leg to stand on, in my opinion, because it's, like I said, whenever this picture was taken for Google Maps, it had already been gated off in 2 sections when there was literally nothing but one building there for SpaceX.
So can I just erect a chain link fence over an interstate and call it mine?
Is it used?
I mean, maybe the shoulder isn't. Can I just start camping out in one of the shoulders, build a nice big chain link fence? So for me, I get what you're talking about there. Like it does make a ton of sense. This only place this leads to is Starbase. So why is this even public property still? And I totally understand that, and I would totally support SpaceX making this a private road. That would fix all the problems.
Oh yeah.
But unfortunately, it's not. And there's also some other accusations from Twitter users who have done similar research. So take this with a grain of salt. This isn't coming from the DA. This isn't, very well sourced. But some people say that SpaceX has actually just built over some of these roads and put buildings on top of these roads.
Joanna Street is literally like it's got an alleyway to go between the double tent and that's the dome and ring manufacturer tents and the nose cone manufacturer tent. Yep. So it's like there is something there, but there's literally rings sitting in the middle of the road.
Yeah, and so the idea of SpaceX just kind of setting up shop and taking over, at the end of the day, it's disenfranchisement of public property. And that's what I have a problem with. You know, if they want to legally procure this public property, great. All the more to them, because then we don't have to deal with these problems. But up until that point, I'm not going to give SpaceX just a nice pass just because I like what they're doing. You know, I'm going to hold SpaceX. If this was ULA doing it, I'd be pretty upset. Yeah. And so I'm going to be just as upset when SpaceX does this, because this is not something I want to see any company do, any person, any company do. Like, you can't just tell people you can't go on public property. You know, if the public wants to tell the public, in a public institution, government, you know, law enforcement officer, judge, you know, city council, whoever, if they want to say the public can no longer go on that, that's fine, because they're accountable directly to the public via elections. But a private company that has no responsibility to the public just walking in and saying, hey, you know, we've kind of built on all three sides of this road, so we're just going to, you know, keep you off this road. Their heart's in the right place, but they're doing it wrong. And it's not acceptable that they're doing it this way.
It could definitely be handled. Could have been handled in a better way.
Yeah, but and this is the story of SpaceX, though, right? Yeah. Like Vandenberg, NASA, like they're always just going so fast that they ignore a lot of the externalities that they're creating. Yeah. And I think it's going to bite them one of these days. And this isn't a big sore bite. You're right. At the very worst, they're going to be in a small legal battle with some people over some felonies. So what if the corporation gets a felony, you know, whatever, you know, the lawyers will figure all that out. So you're right. It's not that big a deal, but my point is this is not boding well for the relationship between SpaceX and the 200 to 500 locals who don't like SpaceX being there.
Out of the 100 some odd thousand people that live down there in Brownsville.
Yeah, in the Brownsville area, yeah. But yeah, Cameron County, I guess, would have more people. But I don't know. I just feel like this is a PR disaster for SpaceX, but kind of almost even more importantly, it's kind of just a disintegration of the, I guess, sanctity of the Texas law, right, by a private company, and that's my main point.
Oh, those roads look fairly new. Interesting. I'm looking at another RGV aerial shot of Boca Chica Village and the actual production site, and that's like a nice road for just being a maybe a few 100-yard stint. It's the road right between the village and the production site.
Okay.
It's got like a grass strip in the center of it and all that.
Yeah, it is. That's been there for a long time.
I'd never. This is the first time I'd seen it in there. Really, that was there originally. Wow.
It was. Yeah, they had the grass strip going between the. There's like a big divided highway.
Oh no! Wait, I think
with the houses around it.
This well, shoot, I was scrolling on Apple Maps. Let me go back to Google Maps. But yeah, that's interesting. Really nice.
So anyway, all that to say, SpaceX just needs to get their act together and figure out a solution here. There's plenty of different solutions. You know, we've said 2 or 3 of them already. You know, buy the road, ask the judge to close it, ask the law enforcement people to close it. You know, or just let people go on it. Like, there are 4 solutions right there. SpaceX can think of other solutions, I'm sure, but this is a very important issue that will come back to haunt them if they don't take care of issues like this going forward too.
Yep.
You can't just walk over local governments. They're not going to continue to support you. Yeah. Anyway.
So speaking about
my soapbox here.
Speaking about using the roads,
stand on that a little too long,
and blocking them off. Yes. We recently had a couple more things coming down the roads, right?
Oh yes, you know, I've been taking the weekends off for the Today at Starbase show, and my goodness, is it hard to keep track of these tower segments because. When we left on Thursday, I believe, I didn't do one on Friday because of personal life stuff, but when we left on Thursday, they had just finished bringing the 6th segment down to the production facility, and they were kind of in the middle of working on the 7th segment. as of recording this, which is a whopping 4 days later, they've stacked the 6th segment. The 7th segment is sitting waiting to be stacked. Like, literally by the time we post this, it will be stacked, I'm sure.
Most likely.
Because the crane was getting attached to it this evening. And then the 8th segment, which is likely going to be the final segment, has definitely begun production. Hasn't finished, but it has begun production. It's well on its way. So, yeah. Basically, we grew a whole segment over a weekend and got another segment here. And we'd already grown like 2 segments the last week. And like anyway, I've been very impressed with their pace here. Kind of cool to see them just toss these up real quick. This 8th segment, which we'll be looking out for in the next few days, likely, probably by the end of the week, is likely going to be the last segment for the orbital launch tower. It is already looking to be quite a bit shorter than the other 7 segments, which have progressively been getting a little bit shorter, but this one's significantly shorter and it has a little bit different top to it. So it's looking like that's going to be the end of the orbital launch tower, which is good because then that means we can move on to the orbital launch pad, which for me, I am really excited about this orbital launch pad. I cannot wait to see how they do the flame diverter and the water deluge system. I don't know how they're going to do this. This is 29 Raptors / 32 Raptors. How are they going to do this?
It's gonna be like, have you ever taken an air duster and then just sprayed it at a pile of something?
No.
It's okay, just like a big old pile of dust under your desk or something like that.
Oh, like one of those compressed air things? Okay, sorry. I was thinking like a dirt devil. I was trying to figure out how this analogy was going to work. Okay, got it. Yeah,
imagine a big pile of dust and then just taking this thing and there's going to be nothing left. They're going to have to do a lot for flame diversion and deluge because that many Raptors going, it would literally melt stuff from the vibrations.
Yep.
Like, that is why they need water deluge in the first place, is vibration melting.
Yep. They need to convert the vibrational energy or the kinetic energy into heat. Yeah. Basically, by steaming the water. I can't even, our S-25 on the space shuttle, obviously it's a slightly larger engine. Obviously, per engine, it has quite a bit more than a Raptor, but it's not full flow stage and it's not as cool. And it's not really as reusable, as SLS has discovered. Just the 3 main engines on the space shuttle required this whole complicated water deluge system, including like bags of water that were like not reusable at all. Like they filled like 3-foot by 6-foot like bags of water that were suspended over the whatever that hole is that the engines shoot into.
It just shoots the bag of water.
Exactly. Yeah, no. So those bags of water are there to absorb the energy as like everything's getting started. Dude. And it's like those bags didn't last through, they were destroyed throughout the launch process, but they look small when you look at a picture and you just see these like little lines of water. And it's like, oh, wow. But then you see a person next to it and you're like, oh, my gosh, that's a ton of water right there. But they had to do this because even those...
That's these red things that were streaking across. I always thought, just because I always saw this in far away views, I thought this was just like one of those grids, the metal grids across it or something like that. Oh, my gosh.
That's water. Those are like 3-foot thick bags of water that are just there to get a little bit of the sound energy from the first few seconds before they're totally obliterated.
Red water sausages is what they're called.
All right, I'll give NASA. That's a good name. Might not have got the mating sections correctly, but man. You did get the red water sausage. Anyway, yeah. So that just that system alone required like thousands and thousands and thousands of gallons of water per minute to operate, and obviously only operated for 30 seconds or something like that. But that's just 3 RS-25s, and the thrust difference between 3 RS-25s and I guess 2 SRBs.
Yeah, that looks like that was under the SRBs. The SR-25.
Was that under the SRBs?
Yeah,
I thought it was also under the RS-25s.
I haven't seen one with the RS-25s under it. But
hey, Nick's using his joke excuse. But yeah, so they were under the SRBs instead of the. Anyway, how on earth are they going to do this for Starship? 29 Raptors. Like even if they just get like a conical conical thing made out of like titanium or solid titanium just to divert the flame and sound like laterally, they'd lose the launch tower if they just did that. So like even that, which would be a really hard thing to engineer, this conical shape, they'd lose the launch tower just by the vibration. So they have to have some kind of deluge system. They have to have some kind of sound suppression system. It's going to be really interesting.
Now seeing the red water sausages, I would really like to see this just because it would look really cool whenever it happens. Whenever they build the flame diverter system inside the orbital launch platform, they need to also like build something around it and then have like huge doors, not necessarily doors, but with some like massive plexiglass that can just be put there and then like let go and fill it with water, make it a really big tank.
Okay.
And then just shoot 30 some odd Raptors down into it and then let it be blown, let the things blow out and just be like a huge waterfall.
Maybe they need to pull a Mark Roper, the YouTuber dude who does like all those
glitter
elephant
spinner
foam.
thing.
And just add some funny chemicals into the methane locks and just do some really
Elephant toothpaste.
win that Guinness Book of World. Get the world's largest elephant toothpaste award. Steal that from Mark Roper and the poor kid who has cancer. Just take that, Elon. Just take it,
dude. That honestly though, that if they just turned it into a big fish tank. Minus the fish.
That'd be pretty funny.
Minus the fish.
No fish are going to be living through that one. They'll be sleeping with the fishes for sure.
So you think it would be fried fish, but no, vaporized fish.
Vaporized fish.
Low on calories.
There are no more fish. Low calorie fish, totally. As Michael Scott would say, the koi have died not on his watch. Oh boy. So I'm honestly as excited as I am to see how the launch tower is progressing and the catching system. That's going to be really cool, and I honestly can't wait for that. I'm also really excited about this whole water deluge system. Like, I don't know how they're going to do it. However they're going to do it though has to work.
It's going to be so much water. It's going to be like probably twice the amount of water needed than the space shuttle.
At least.
Yeah.
At least. Have you seen the tanks, the water tanks that they're starting to stockpile over there?
I did not. Over at Boca Chica or 39A?
Yeah. At Boca Chica, at the launch facility. You know how big a Starship is in diameter?
Yeah. 9 meters.
Yep, 9 meters. Now imagine a 12-meter tank full of water.
Hold on. Let me do some math real quick.
Yep. Does that bigger?
Well, it's 3 meters bigger.
Okay, 3 meters bigger. Which area-wise, I think there's some kind of math formula for something area-wise, right?
That's basically 40 foot across. To put it into perspective, my apartment is not 40 foot by 40 foot. I could live in a Starship water tank and have more room.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's thanks for the perspective there. That's huge, or as Mr. Trump would say, huge.
Huge.
Because oh my gosh, that's crazy. So I'm trying to pull up a picture here, but at one point, I believe it was the 4th tower segment. They're moving the 4th tower segment and one of these 12-meter water tanks at the same time, and the tower segments look huge by themselves, right? Like they look like these gargantuan monster pieces, but sitting next to one of these tanks. Not even a chance. Not even a comparison. The tank looks way bigger than one of these tower segments, and I'm trying to find the right picture. I found one of them, but it's not the one that I'm thinking of that really shows the scale properly. But it's just kind of crazy that these tanks exist and they're this big. And honestly, crazier than that even, SpaceX wants to make a Starship that's 12 meters and eventually 18 meters. So we're gonna have a Starship that is this size at some point.
So
kind of crazy.
I have a 1,050 square foot apartment. The area of this 40-foot diameter Starship.
Just
tank.
the area, not the volume.
Yeah, just the area. 1,257 square foot. If we really want to get scientific about this one, let's do so 6, 12, calculate area. Meters wise, that would be 113.1 square meters.
Oh my gosh.
Man.
This is mind-boggling in scale. And to think, though, they want to make a 12-meter Starship at some point and an 18-meter Starship at some point. I just sent you a short video of one of the workers next to one of these 12-meter tanks. This isn't the cool picture I wanted to show you, but this is one. And you just see this tank, which is 3 meters larger in diameter than Starship. And you see these workers, they look so small in comparison to this huge tank. And I think they want to make a Starship that's that big, and then again, a Starship that's another 3 meters bigger than that. And that's just the water deluge tank. That's one of the many tanks that they're going to be using for this water system.
If this was lifted up high, like at an actual water tower height, it would probably be one of these alone could be close to one of the largest water tower volumes in the world.
I mean, aside from a lake, yes, I would agree with you. Man-made for sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that they plan to not have them on top of big towers. A, for the complexity, but B, because there's going to be so much water pressure already just by filling the tank all the way to the top.
Yeah.
And I believe from what I can tell, they're not going to plan on draining the entire tank, and they'll only take it down to about halfway so that they can use that water pressure, because their whole thing is about fast recyclability, right?
Yep.
And so they just keep filling the tank, and it gets back up to full, and then they use about half of it, and then get back up to 90%, and they use another half of it, and they fill it all the way back up. You know, they have that flexibility.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be pretty cool. This water deluge system
It's going to be massive.
Gonna be crazy.
You know what else
It really
is
is
going to be
massive.
pretty crazy?
What?
It's got to be able to lift a Starship and a booster.
Wait a minute. These things don't just float?
No, sadly they don't have superpowers.
They can't just fill them with helium? I'm pretty sure that's how I saw helium work.
Yeah, these are just giant modular balloons. That's all it is. Just got to fill it with helium. You'll be good.
Okay. What's that guy who did the balloon stunt like 5 months ago? David someone or other?
So,
Dude?
I think his name is David something. But no, we got we've had a whole bunch of different named cranes with a whole bunch of different colors. What are we going to call this red hoist that we now have?
I don't know. Did the internet give it a cool name? I saw it.
I don't think so yet. That's why I kind of want to.
Okay. Are we gonna name it here?
I kind of want to coin something and see if we can make it catch.
I'm thinking red water sausage.
God.
It's a terrible name. Don't listen to me. Oh boy. Yeah, so this is one of the hoists that's going to go on top of the orbital launch tower, and probably going to be helping to move some of the bigger pieces into place.
Yep.
Maybe a Starship on top of the booster. We don't know how that's all going to work. Hopefully SpaceX does, though. As far as a name, though, we can call it like a Red Rover or something cute. Like make it nice and small. Make it sound like it's just like
Red
nice
Rover,
and small,
Red
even
Rover,
though-
bring a Starship right over. No,
Yeah.
see that.
Hey!
That would be one. That would be one of those the multi-wheel things, though.
True.
Yeah, and those are
And
blue,
they do
which
have
is
a red
sad.
one of
Oh, they
those.
do. Oh, that one's.
They do have a
All
red
right,
one.
there we go. That
Yeah.
thing is named Red Rover.
I think we officially coined it here first, guys. Go. Oh boy. This
Oh,
show
well.
is just so good.
But in addition to the hoist that has now been taken over to the launch site, somebody spotted a new thing on the back of an 18-wheeler that we don't really have an idea of what it is.
Yeah, what the heck is that thing? It is really weird, and I think post-production Nick's going to have a lot of work to do putting in some B-roll here, because otherwise it's going to be a very confusing show. This is a catch by
Brady
let's see, was it-
Kenniston.
No, I was like NASA spaceflight, but yeah, it is Brady. This is a really weird piece of equipment. A a lot of times when we see stuff rolling on a flatbed truck, we can be like, oh, so that's going to probably go here or there. Oh, that's probably part of the ground support equipment. Oh, that's probably, some kind of tank, pressure, vaporizer. Oh, this goes here. No, this thing, I have no idea what this thing is going to do. It looks like, those of you listening on the audio podcast, it kind of looks like one of those cherry picker crane things that has like this arm and then this little platform with like something to hold on to, an arm rail, basically.
We got a basket right here.
A basket, yeah, basically that's it. It's a basket on an arm, except it's like scaled up a lot because that basket's probably as tall as a human. So we're not sure what they're going to stick inside that basket, but it's a big basket. Also, the metal that is used to make the arm looks to be about 6 inches thick, just steel that way. And then there's two of them in like an I-beam configuration with like steel in between them that's probably 4 inches thick of just steel.
Yeah.
And then the mounting plate that looks like it's going to mount to something looks to be even thicker than the arm steel, which might be on 8 to 9 inches thick.
It is so much steel.
I don't know what it does. It could be a part of the catching arm system. Like it could be upside down and they could be using that to catch something maybe. Or it could be like a camera tripod on the side of the tower just to catch the nice views. I don't know.
Like the first thing I thought it could have been was part of the crane. Like they're going to add to it. But, and then I thought, wait, this thing is way too thick and way too heavy to be anywhere near the boom of a crane. So that got shot down in my head real fast.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like something this heavy. I'm thinking it has to be
on this podcast this time next week and be like, oh, duh. Obviously,
that makes so much sense.
To the thingy-majig. Yeah.
I'm thinking it's gonna have something to do with ground equipment of some sort.
Really?
Either.
Well, obviously this isn't flight hardware. I mean.
Well. Duh, but I'm talking about like actual on the ground area, somewhere like either to do with the orbital launch platform, or part of the base of the tower or something like that. Because this is something extremely heavy. Like I guarantee you that 18-wheeler is close to max weight, just from that hunk of steel.
Yep. Normally, the flatbed trailers have this bow to it in the middle, like it's bowing up. Yep. There's an arch to help support the weight. This thing is just flat.
Basically.
It's about as flat as I've seen a trailer, which means they're close to their weight limit.
It is heavy. It is heavy.
So we'll see what on earth SpaceX is going to be doing with that.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. Did you see they're looking at some new... They're looking at some new expansions to the launch facilities they got down there.
I saw something that was a wonderful collage. I guess you could put it.
Collage! Oh, let me get my scrapbook and fancy scissors out. Get some glue dots and some pictures. Ooh, we get to make a collage. Oh my.
So RGV, of course, coming in clutch with some amazing photos as usual, and lately they've started to overlay a lot of the information on top of their photos.
Yes.
So now we have a proposed expansion sheet of SpaceX's launch facility. And this image is of course, the actual launch facility area, not the production facility. So right now we have, in what the actual photo shows, we have one launch pad. Where's the second launch pad? I don't see it in this photo.
It's not in this picture.
Oh, well.
It's a suborbital pad. Yeah, I guess it is, but it's not highlighted.
Oh, well, yeah, we have that one.
2 launch pads.
Then now we're also working on orbital launch pad. That's also in the picture with its tower. Now, then we also have in the new stuff at least, we have a new landing pad. We have a lot more berms. And this is also, of course, literally right on the ocean. So they have stormwater ponds because you're at the water table, basically. You can't pump anything into the ground. You can't let it seep into the ground.
It's almost like if they have this huge water deluge system, they need to figure out what they're going to do with the water after they deluge it.
Yep. Then we also have orbital pad B and its integration tower. Then we have another large berm section with Orbital Pad B's tank farm.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we have over here? This is another stormwater pond. And can I read what that? Yeah, that kind of zoomed out wrong. Basically, there's a lot of new stuff. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So basically, the
there's
launch
the other
complex.
pad. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, the launch complex is growing by 2.
Yes.
For those of you who are struggling to understand the scale of why we're so impressed here, they're adding a whole nother launch tower at some point, a whole nother orbital launch pad. They're not finished with the first one yet. They're adding a whole nother landing pad. They're making improvements to the current landing pad. They're building up a bunch of these walls, basically earth walls, berms, that will help deflect sound and water and vibrations and stuff away from other equipment, such as the new tank facility they're going to be making over there. And on top of all that, they're fitting in some room for some water collection ponds.
Yes.
So, and a parking lot's going in across the street. They're going to add a new parking
I see
lot,
that up
which
there now.
likely won't be for us, plebs, but
Yeah.
maybe we can hope. So that's the proposed new launch site stuff. Great job with their RGB aerial photography. I'm always impressed with what they do. Definitely.
I wonder where they got this document from.
I don't know, actually. I have no idea where they got this.
Because this is a very detailed document, so it's definitely a SpaceX document. Because it's got
this is like
SpaceX
some kind
on
of,
it.
it says it at the bottom. Boca Chica, Cameron County, Launchpad Wetland Development Conceptual Site Layout.
Well, there we go.
Revision number 1, draft. Summary of materials, and then a habitat type. Oh, wow. To crane assembly and storage areas. What this... Oh. When I read crane, I thought the bird. And then I was like, oh. This is crane, like Starship Crane. Yeah.
Where did that photo go? There it is. Yeah, this is interesting. Where did you see the crane area?
It's the green table at the upper right. It says a habitat type area, crane assembly and storage area.
Got you.
Part of a salt flat and a high marsh and a depressional area. So those are acres, I guess. I don't know. This is a pretty detailed, obviously, SpaceX filing document that RGV unearthed. A lot of this stuff is public, out there. You just gotta hunt
Find
for
it.
it. So this Cameron County filing stuff, that's public information. It's just buried in boring documents of other things that nobody cares about. Because honestly, who cares about the grading of the newest In-N-Out or Chuck E. Cheese or whatever they're site grading for?
Yeah.
But SpaceX.
It also looks like they're going to be redoing a lot of the road that runs across the front of it too, from the looks of it. Because they either that or that is just the drawing that they left on that to show that's the road because it's in such bad condition. One of the two. Yeah.
So the road actually, we just talked about Highway 4 for quite a bit. The road, a lot of locals, and I think it's kind of a cool idea, have been asking SpaceX to just build a new road to get to the beach so that they can just have Highway 4. Because there's a lot of coordination that has to be done. I honestly don't know why SpaceX hasn't just out in this. So it looks like the ocean, right? So it's this big kind of salt flat, I think is what it's called. But it's only at high tide it's only 2 feet deep, and at low tide it's dry ground basically. And so I don't know why SpaceX doesn't just take a fraction of their focus and just build a kind of causeway type highway to connect the beach over this salt flat basically.
Yeah.
And then they could just have all of Highway 4 and be able to, and obviously as tank watchers would be kind of sad as it'd be harder to get over there, but I think that would really clear up a lot of the locals' frustrations with all of these frequent closures.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they do submit some paperwork similar to that at some point, because this is...
And that would also...
It's growing fast.
That would also make it easier for people to get to the beach as well, because, it does change just straight up to sand at the towards the very end. And as we know, people driving really fast to get off the sand ends in bad ways sometimes.
No way.
Oh, yeah, just go ask Tim.
What?
Rip.
This Model 3 definitely didn't get totaled.
Mm.
Rip.
And it took like 4 months to get it back.
Even when Elon is like replying in tweets, that's the thing that got me about that whole Tesla repair experience.
That was
like
interesting.
Literally, you got Elon on your side, Tim. Why is this taking so long? I don't know. Tesla repair.
Oh, they actually have a street view right here. Interesting.
Google Maps does? Yeah, I bet you that's outdated by a few years.
Oh, probably, because the funny part is there's is that another secondary street view car right there? Interesting. Okay. It literally just goes straight out to sand dunes. It looks like mossy road and all that kind of stuff. How do I get out of this?
No, that's kind of all that that beach is. Boca Chica Beach is pretty much just there's tons of sand dunes between the beach and the Starship facility. But
oh wait, no, go to Google Maps really quick, and then go to the street view.
Okay.
Because the maps are old. The street view is not as old.
Ah, I see.
You'll get a nice surprise.
If this isn't Elon, I'm gonna be kind of mad.
No, it's not Elon. I'm sorry to burst your bubble on that one.
Anger,
I'm working my way to the production facility now, but go to the launch facility and have a nice look.
Okay. Was that
oh my gosh.
Starhopper?
Yeah.
Aw. Hi, Starhopper. You're so cute.
That could be
little Starhopper.
That could be pre-launch Starhopper.
I don't know. Is it pre-launch? Maybe. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, it takes so long to just like scroll past over here to get to the production facility.
I love how this audio podcast has turned into us just like looking at Google Maps.
Hey, it's fun stuff. But
totally.
Over here we have an early like this is before the triangle structure was finished. This was back when it was being built.
At the launch site or over at the
production site? And then we have one of the early SNs that's being worked on, the top half of it.
Huh. It's kind of fascinating. Let me walk down 2 miles down this road.
It takes forever if you just keep on clicking.
I know.
I didn't realize how large the the radio towers they had over here were. That's interesting.
All right, well, we should probably wrap up
the
show.
That was a lot of
everybody to death.
That was a lot of scroll stuff. Sorry, everybody's just listening to us talk as we're sitting here scrolling through stuff.
I have no idea why anyone would be listening to this at the moment because this is not interesting. That's for sure.
Man.
I'm still scrolling.
It takes forever.
Any closing thoughts there, DJ? No shots. Don't shoot me, please.
Man.
Oh my goodness.
SpaceX just needs to hurry up and clean their hands of the issues that are going down there with the roads. Buy it, whatever they need to. Just get it settled. Need to be in good graces with the county, even if it's not used by anyone other than them. If it hadn't been used in years by anyone, really.
Yeah.
Still need to get it taken care of because there's going to be people that just like to exploit the law, and not necessarily where it's in a bad way, but where they actually can use it for what it's intended to be used for, is public use, but just for a bad reason.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm looking at. I finally got to the production site on Google Maps, and they're just still building the mid bay here. They haven't even started on any other stuff. This is ancient.
Now that would be called
Mark
like
1.
the small bay at this point, because that's the triangle.
I think that's just. Was that the triangle one?
That's the triangle one.
Wow. Okay.
So they didn't
So this is like Mark 1.
Yeah.
This is like 2019.
Yeah.
This is pre-pandemic. My goodness.
Yep.
All right, DJ. We should end it there. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Have a great one. We'll see you next week. Godspeed. That was a lame outro.
And now cut. No.